Ladies and gentlemen, I did an on camera kind of thing. Well, not totally on camera. You didn't see my face or anything. But I kind of did an on camera deal about something that I talked about. And I mentioned a few people in it, but I only mentioned them by letter or two letters or whatever. And if I can find it here somewhere. Uh, Basically, I talked about how a lot of people are fans of a lot of unique scenarios, like the you know tricks of the trade, kind of gags, fantasy kind of stuff, things that live in fantasy. Excuse me. And for someone like me, I'm a fan of all the weird stuff, unique stuff, if you will, that's out there. I mean, who isn't at times, right? Well, one person I mentioned in there, we called them E, if you will. We called them E, and I mentioned, things in the video that, E a couple months ago did a story for me for my birthday. And I'm happy that she did it. And I've also mentioned the fact that, you know, well, one of the things that I mentioned about was, even if it's done in storyline for about, like for one, even if it's done in storyline for about, for one issue of a comic or maybe one chapter or just one fleshed out fan fiction story, or even if it's for one episode in a cartoon or even a live action series. But to me, and again, this is not trying to be offensive or anything. I'm not trying to be offensive or anything here, but to me, it always seems that when situations come around when a character obtains a power or an ability, even if it's for a one-time deal, that the character or person involved is usually female. Um, and again, this is seen in all kinds of media. And again, like I said, I'm not trying to be offensive or anything about gender because I know it happens to the male counterparts as well. I know it happens to the male counterparts as well. But to me, a majority of the time, from what I've seen, it happens to females. Even if it's a gag, like the lustful milk gag, even if it's something like that, it happens to a female. I remember when the first time I'd seen the lustful milk gag, it was in Parlez-vous Woo's, a 1956 Popeye cartoon, and at the end you had olive oil melt into a running puddle of butter with only her face on the puddle, and she was flowing down the floor. The second time I saw it was actually the first time it had ever been used in animation, and that was in the Porky Pig cartoon in the early to mid 40s, called Swooner Crooner. And it had a black chicken, I believe, or hen, melt into a black ripply puddle with only her little hen hawk, a little mohawk, if you whatever it's called, on top. So again, I had seen this before, and again, it always happened to the female. Anytime a character would obtain a power, either that power was invisibility or whatever, it would be the female. I'm not lying. And again, like I said, Not trying to be offensive or anything. I know it happens to the males as well. I know it does. But the female gender was always the target. And when I look at fan fiction stories and I look at fan art, and there are people that I've subscribed to over at DeviantArt and other places like Fur Infinient and DeviantArt and other places, that a majority of what they're into involves the female gender, either if it's through the writing or the fan art. It's through that. It's the female gender that usually gets used. One person, for example, called KA, we'll call him KA, or we'll call him, yeah, we'll call him KAC. KAC. They're into basically the melting and mostly the slime girl character stuff. Even if the character gets the powerful one time only and then goes back to normal, they're into it. They even dedicate a weekly thing, which are almost up to 100 with, called Slime of the Week. And it's usually a video they link you to. And a majority, from what I've seen at times, is the Slime of the Week will be a female. And again, that's just from what I've seen. But anyway, if it's slime girl related or slime related, they're into it. But like I said, there are people that dedicate some of what they like into this stuff. In fact, KAC has two characters that are sisters, slime sisters, if you will. And at times there have been little web comics, little web pages, comic pages, if you will, where they interact with another person's original slime girl character. This person we'll call KA, or KAB. And KAB's character named Kat, whose origins is the fact that she used to be human and now she's slime, a red slime girl. Basically, they've had them interact with her at times, by having them do some fun situations. They've had them do that. Well, just recently, one of the things that was always unique to me, and always found kind of, unique and unusual, but it was something that you would look forward to. And believe me, I know I'm not the only one that looks forward to this. Anytime you have certain characters like this, you're bound to see it happen, or you want to see it happen. Well, KAC recently reached over 1,000 subscribers, 1K subscribers, if you will. So what did they do? They decided to do a little 2-page multi-panel webcomic of the two slime sisters fusing together, basically coming together and becoming one, fusing, merging together into one being. And they went from, and basically you have one sister which is pink and another that's blue, so they blend together and they become purple. They become a fusion of both. They become one individual, a fusion of themselves. And to me, that's something that anytime you see characters like that, you hope is going to happen. KAC knows that, obviously, and had it happen. There's another person called IL who has a silver slime girl character and did basically four little one-page web comics of their slime girl character fusing with other people's slime girl original characters, even KAB's. And what intrigues people when that happens is because there's a lot of questions that get asked after they see something like that. They always ask, who's in charge? Who's mentally in charge? Or did the minds combine and to become one individual? Did they do this? Did they do that? And that intrigues people because they want to have answers. They want to see if there's going to be an answer to that. And that's why they want to see more as well. There's one person, we're going to call him AO, and they have two human characters, that 2 times in a row, or at least about a year or two ago, they did a web comic, a series of pages, if you will, where both got turned into slime girls, and then in turn merged together into one. And they and then AO basically about a year later brought them back into slime girl personas, and for on the second page of this special 2-page return had them merge into one because it was hot, they were melting kind of deal, and they merged into one. And then AO does it again, and once again you have one character becoming a slime girl, the other becoming a slime girl, and then they merge together into one being. And you can kind of tell both are in there because the combined being that they've become has two different colored eyes. And then recently they did the same thing. They created two new slime girls out of two or new characters, two new human characters they created and turned into slime girls. But they have yet to combine them into one. And that's one thing I think they know, AO knows, a lot of people want to see. They want to see it. They want to see that happen. They want to see it. But it's not just, the fusing together either. They like it when, even like I said, even if it's done for a one-time only deal. They like it when they're able to use the powers to do anything else. Like, if they feel like just melting into a puddle, they like to see that. If they just like to see them have fun with this power, even if it's for one time only. E, who I requested my story for my birthday from, E basically has a character that can not only melt down into a puddle, but can shapeshift into about anything. And they recently had a story done. They recently did a story where they crossed over with KAC's Pink Slime Girl character. And I commented in the comment section, and I think even through a private message, that E should do a sequel to the story with KAC's character where they combine together, because there was some kind of indication that could happen, because there was one scene in the story where they basically came up and they were blended with each other's color, and I thought, well, why don't you just combine them together? There you go. And I always thought that would be interesting. But again, it's not just the fusing, it's what they can do. It's like like I said, I've read stories to where characters for one time only, female characters for one time only, will obtain the power and they'll use it to not only melt down into a puddle, because that would be the first natural thing they would do, but they would use it to basically shapeshift themselves into anything or anybody. And that's what people like to see, because it would intrigue them. That would intrigue them. They'd be like, oh, I wonder if they're going to shapeshift. I wonder if they're going to do that. And that's why they always hope for more. That's why they always hope to see more. That's why they always ask for more. I mean, even with other things like invisibility, or rubber elastic powers. Anytime a female gets those kind of things, and again, no offense, because males have gotten it too, but anytime a female gets it, they usually have more fun. The 1988 Invisible Kid movie, there was a scene where China Phillips, who played the love interest in the movie, took a dose of the invisibility formula, turned invisible, and then had fun with it by doing a little striptease, basically stripping out of her gown, her little dress, and her underwear and her socks. She basically did an invisible striptease. And people like that because, this is just my opinion, I think it's mainly because to me, I think when the writers, whether it's fan fiction, fan art, multimedia stuff, the reason they always choose a female to do these kind of things is because they know, maybe in their minds, maybe they believe in their minds, that they know the female would have more fun with it. There you go. And again, even if it's for a one-time deal, people want to see that. Even in fan fiction. There's one person, we're going to call him CL. CL basically has done a lot of stories which feature established cartoon characters from Disney, Sonic, MGM, whatever, where the main female, Warner Brothers, if you will, where the main female has obtained rubber elastic powers and they have fun with it. CL did one with the Sally character having a rubber elastic powers, and she had fun by shape shifting into different objects, shape shifting into a more curvy sexual version of herself, and even had fun with another female character called Loop in another chapter down the line, where she demonstrated that she could do more than just shape shift into different objects. She can become clothing or armor for other people. So so when people see things like that in stories, or people add those things in stories, it's because they know not only could the female have more fun with it, but they know fans would expect to see that. And that's why when you have people like AO create new Slime Girl characters, but has yet to combine them into one, they know, whether they want to admit it or not, they know fans are looking forward to that and they want to see it happen. Just the same way with E's story, where they crossed over with KAC's character, a Pink Slime Girl character. They hope to see maybe a continuation where they fuse. I mean, there's even a story that E did called, if I can find it here, called Convention Calamity, and basically E's Slime Girl character has to improvise, has to help one of her fellow friends and employees out with a convention by improvising and becoming that person's exact duplicate, if not improved duplication of the costume they were going to be. In other words, E's Slime Girl character becomes the costume. It can act like she doesn't exist anymore by doing that. I mean, she basically still exists, but basically act like she's just inanimate. Like, hey, I'm no longer in control. It's up to you. And people like that. And people want to see more of that kind of stuff. And again, that's why I think people want to see a sequel to that crossover with KAC's Pink Slime Girl character. And they want to see more of what IL does. I mean, heck, you have someone, we're going to call him Double D, that has a group over at DeviantArt, which its main purpose is to have the characters fuse together at most times, the majority of the time, just fuse together into one. They can melt into puddles and all that, shapeshift, but basically have the power most of the time to fuse into a different girl. And that's what people like. They like to see that, and that's what Double D knows. Double D knows that. And that's why people want to see it more often. When people see people write stories like that, or they do fan fiction pictures or comics like that, they want to see it happen. So, to me, the reason people are into it is because they want to see it, are intrigued in the uniqueness of certain fan art, certain clean fan art, if you will, is because they want to see basically the reason they're into the unique and unusual fan art or fan works that are out there is because they want to see more. They want to see it go a step further at times. So that's all I'm going to say on it. Let me know what you guys think down below, and I will talk to y'all later, but that's just my take on it.